everybody, welcome to Jacob's Quest, and last night I saw Strays, which is the brand new R-rated road trip comedy with talking dogs, and that's the movie. I mean, if you've seen the trailer, this is definitely one of those where it's like, it's gonna give you exactly what you saw in the trailer. You know, they're gonna make every single dog joke in the most R-rated fashion possible that you can imagine. And to be honest, I think like this is one of those situations where it's like, all right, so obviously there have been, you know, hundreds of talking dog movies and shows in the world, but this might be one of the few R-rated ones, if the first R-rated one, you know. And it does kind of feel like, all right, they've made all the dog jokes anyone could think of. Like, I literally can't think of a single other dog joke to make, and that's it. Like like there's no need for anyone else to ever do something like this again. And I just mean that, like, they covered all the ground, you know, like any kind of really gross, disgusting thing that you can come up with for a dog joke, they did that in this movie. Like, all of it, they covered the whole thing. And yeah, it you know, it is just a comedy road trip type thing where this dog gets abandoned, and by the way, you know, a dog gets abandoned by its owner, and he has to try to find his way back because now he wants revenge on his owner, you know. And that is gonna already upset some people because, you know, for a lot of people out there, dogs are like a sensitive subject, because the idea, even the fictional idea of a dog being mistreated in any way, it's upsetting, right? Like, so it's gonna bother a lot of people that, like, oh, this dog is not only kind of abused and abandoned by its owner, but then, like, for a while that dog just really wants to get back to its owner, and it's really tragic and sad. I will say, I think the comedy kind of like balances out the innate tragedy of the subject here of, like, a dog being abandoned is really sad, so I think the comedy balances that out pretty good. And yeah, this is just it's a ridiculous movie where it's really gross, but it's definitely the kind of thing that's gonna play really well with a certain crowd, you know. I found myself laughing a couple different times, but it definitely was not like, you know, it wasn't like a comedy classic that I'm gonna come back to every once in a while. It's like this thing that you watch once and you're like, okay, it had some funny moments, but the whole conceit of it, I feel like, wore itself out within the first like half hour. Like, after that, you're like, okay, I get it, they're talking dogs, you can make a bunch of gross jokes like that because dogs, you know, spoilers, dogs do a lot of gross stuff, guys. If you've ever owned a dog, you know, they're animals, they'll do some gross things, you know. There's a bunch of like, oh, this dog just ate some throw up, oh, this dog just ate some poop, oh, gross. You know, these dogs are humping everything, and there's a bunch of jokes like that, you know. So yeah, that's the movie, really. You know, and I will say, like, yes, there's a bunch of poop jokes and there's a bunch of like other jokes, but yeah, I mean, they get revenge on the guy at the end, who's, by the way, like the most cartoonishly, you know, evil person, which is good, right? Because like the subject matter alone, like the premise, gets you real sad, so you do want to have that ending catharsis of like, man, I hope they really do, as the plot says, bite this guy's dick off, which is the entire goal here, literally to bite it off, and they do. So, you know, it is that movie. I will say there was a couple moments in here that I wish they played on more. They had one where they meet this dog, and I think this was honestly the funniest part of the movie. They meet this dog at a carnival, right? And they're trying to ask for help, but this dog has just helped his owner kind of meet this girl at the carnival, and he does like this self-narration, right? And like, oh, you're one of those self-narrating dogs, where like he just kind of talks to himself. He's like, little did my owner know it at the time, but you know, and it does like this whole like a TV episode thing. So I wish they kind of played around with the genre. Like, maybe they could have had one dog that plays human sports and kind of made a joke about Air Bud or something like that. I feel like there are different things they could have done in a more meta sense, but they were really concentrated on the dog poop jokes in this one, so it's definitely like, okay, that's the route they chose to go. Honestly, part of me feels like this would have worked better as like a, I don't even know, like a Saturday Night Live skit, maybe. You know, something that was like maybe 10 to 15 minutes long, and you could still pump out a lot of those same jokes instead of doing it over the course of a movie. But I do still see maybe some things like the Air Bud thing that could have made jokes about like more meta style references of like, oh, other talking dog movies that have come in the past, like a Homeward Bound joke or something. Not that maybe many people wouldn't understand the Homeward Bound reference. I don't know. But yeah, just it's exactly what it promised to be, you know. And of course, you know, it ends with like a lesson being learned, you know, at the end. So it's like, okay, humans are bad, they're evil, right? We don't need humans, they abandon us. And then of course by the end, some of them get new owners, and like, okay, maybe not all humans are bad, you know. So they do that thing. It's all kind of like predictable as to the route it's all gonna go. But yeah, I think this is definitely another Netflix movie where it's like, look, out of curiosity, if you want to watch it one time, you might enjoy it. But it is definitely just a lot of gross out humor, a lot of that humor that like this would have been really big in the mid 2000s, I think, you know, like this would have been like a really like epic comedy or something. But yeah, just I'm like, okay, I mean, you got me a couple of times, but for the most part I was like, I get it, they're dogs, they talk, you know, okay. But yeah, just that's the movie. That's Strays. I don't know, let me know what you guys think about this one. Did you find it really funny, or was it kind of dumb? But I mean, it was supposed to be dumb, so you know, maybe that's not so much a critique as much of an observation. It's like, yeah, it's a talking dog movie with R-rated jokes on it. But yeah, oh right, the carnival dog, the big joke there was that he's doing his self-narration. He's like, little did that lady know, my master's a serial killer who has bodies. You know, like he's like revealing all this crazy information. I'm like, I almost like this would have been a much darker movie, but I almost want to stay with that dog story, because that would have been insane, just to have the dog narrating while this horror movie is playing out. So I don't know, I guess there are still some talking dog jokes left that you could do, but as far as all the gross out ones, they kind of covered it. So anyways, let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.